Just zoomed in here.
This is our last Zoom meeting unless some miracle occurs at the State House.
Yeah, I wouldn't bank on that.
Is it okay that I'm in here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Anybody can be in town hall. I'm in town hall, people. And Karen is here with me and everybody else. All right.
Thank you, Harley.
Thanks, Hartley. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 12:05 p.m.
Recording in progress.
On Monday, June 14th. Could I have a roll call, please?
Joe Shank, present.
Chaz Sexton Duranian present.
Veronica Kell, present.
We're going to get feedback here, people.
Say that again.
Keeps playing everything.
Hartley, can you mute, please?
There seems to be an echo.
Yeah, that's it's a delay when it goes out to channel 9. That's what that is. Now he's muted, so we should be all set.
Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so we did roll call. I want to announce that.
Can I close this door? That may be one of the reasons.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I'm in town hall and Hartley's in the other room, and that may be complicating things here. All right, so the meeting is being recorded and also projected live on Channel 9. Chairman's additions or deletions. I have a few. I'm going to put them in here, and there may be others, but
May. Ellie, when Rhonda signs in, she goes under Ellie May.
could someone please mute themselves? Ann and Jim LaPoyer.
Sorry.
That's okay. Now we know who Ellie Mae is. All right. The TEMA request that was made that we approved last week at our board meeting, I have some further information from Rob and Facilities on that. So I wanted to add that to this and also mention a plumbing and heating AC request from Facilities. So TEMA and Facilities AC. Under finances as well, I have COVID funding down here under the ARPA funding and application, as well as for the library. We had a request of rollover of 1 week vacation from fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 22 for non-union employees. So those came in since. And under announcements and communications, although this might be finances, I wanted to discuss insurance, the town's insurance policies. So those are the things that I have to add. Does anybody else have anything to add to this?
No.
No? All right. So let's go first to, and I'm going to bring these up. I can't really screen share with what I'm doing here, but I have everything under work session. So the first thing is the constable appointments, and this is not to appoint a constable. It's just to discuss what came in on this. So a request came in for the reappointment of one of the town constables. We have 4 currently. And back in January, roughly, I think it was before you were on the board even, Joe, we had another constable request come in, and we pretty much tabled it to allow the TA and the police chief to look at this. And In the SharePoint, there is Chief Sartell's input and his discussion back and forth with the TA. So looking at this, it seems like constable appointments in general are, under discussion at the state level. So this is actually something that we could maybe put on Senator Cronin's agenda for tomorrow. I hadn't thought about that until now. But anyway, we need to determine what we are going to do about this appointment or reappointment, as the case may be. So.
I have some input on that, Madam Chair.
Sure. Go ahead, Chaz.
I did a lot of research on this particular issue because of the length of time that it has kind of been sitting on the table. This is Bill H1372, which is in front of the state Senate. It basically is, it works for the power and authority that constables currently have. Constables are not given firearms by the towns or the municipalities, but they can carry their own. And they have basically a lot of authority to be able to do certain things, knocking on people's doors. They're to give warrants and that kind of thing. Since 2016, there have been some issues in regards to constables in the state of Massachusetts. One of which was they went to serve a warrant at a particular home in Dorchester, and it was the wrong address. And it was in the middle of the night. It was a lot of flash bangs and that kind of stuff. It really scared the family. That's why this legislation came up to go into discussion. As it stands now, this bill was referred to the House Committee on Rules, and if anybody knows anything about how the state operates when it comes to that, it's under a study order, and a study order is that there needs to be a team of legal experts on the subject matter to be able to go over the particular bill and to look at the legal issues of it. It was authorized to the committee to on the judiciary to make an investigation and study of certain House documents concerning what exactly the legal matters are on that. Having said that, without going too deep, Chief Sartell also basically said that it would be simply for us to reappoint the one constable that his term is up at the end of June. We have another term or two terms ending in 22 and one in 2023. So after all my research and what I see, I feel that we just need to, when we get to the reappointments, I know we're not doing it today, that we need to just reappoint for 1 year. We have the ability to appoint up to 3 years, but I would say to reappoint for 1 year and wait until this works through the legislature so that we have a better idea of where they're going as far as the bill H1372.
So Joe, thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts are, I mean, I do think the constables have a role in town. I mean, every election, I think we have to have a constable in the building present. So, I mean, I think we need to move forward, appoint, as Chaz says, just take in, maybe do a year. But I think we need to keep them. I really do.
So do we need a motion, or can we do that in our January 29th meeting or June 29th meeting? I just wanted to have this discussion based on what we got from Chief Sartell.
Yep. No, we would be able to reappoint, but in history, we've reappointed for a 3-year period because There are spread out in 3-year periods. My suggestion would be to reappoint for 1 year, and then once the bill works through the legislature and they come to some decisions, then we'd be able to, when we reappoint the next time, to make sure that we stagger the terms.
I'm just wondering, do we need a vote on that, or can we do that when we vote at our next, I guess it's the June 29th meeting where this appointment is on the,
Yeah, when we
On the
appoint, yep, when we
Okay.
appoint, we can make that motion.
okay. Are you good with that, Joe?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So, thank you. All right. The next one is to discuss the tent rental for the senior center. So we had a discussion about this at the staff meeting last week. And I guess just for background, the tent that was purchased by the Friends of the Seniors, I think with grant money, or did they? COVID grant money a year ago. We all know it blew over and went with the wind, but it's still there and still works. And so they had donated it to the senior center. And what we learned is that the town's liability insurance doesn't cover the town putting that tent up. So the senior center was looking for other options because it would be good for them to have tents for their summer programming. And Karen is here with me, so if I put her in, I'll just, can you see her there? All right, so anyway, so there are two options. One is that they went out to find out what it would cost to have, I believe it's Christian Party rental?
We got 3 different bids.
Three, do I have them all?
No, you don't have all of them. They all
Okay.
came in at about $5,000 for the rest for July and August.
Okay, I don't know if everybody can hear what Karen just said. Yeah, come over here. But they, just pull a chair up and we'll share here.
Hi, everybody.
So if you didn't hear Karen, $5,000 roughly for the 3 quotes that she got from different companies.
For July and August.
Right.
But then there's the concern of where it would be put. Would it have to be attached to the building? Would it have to be nailed into the pavement, et cetera, et cetera? So I came up with another option that I think will work better. May I, Madam Chair?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. I have documents here as well.
So I did actually, just in case we could get them in on time, I ordered 8 Easy Ups from Amazon for a total of $1,300. And that gives us the options of using them individually. It's my understanding we cannot group them to make a big tent. That's, being bad. that gives us the same liability options or problems. But we can use, like for cribbage, for example, when our people are playing cribbage, there's 4 to a table. So we could put 4 different Easy Ups over by the meeting hall doors and have 4 different tables for cribbage, and then they do their rotation. We could also have 2 different Easy Ups over by our new outdoor seating area for the coffee social, or for Scrabble or Rumicube. Another reason we would want them is for genealogy, the knitting group, the weaving groups. Most of the groups that have been coming in would prefer to be outside when it is available, just being on the safe side. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are on the Easy Up option that we have.
I have one question. Would that
Sure.
be in place of the large tent?
Yes, we would just forego the large tent.
My other question is, does our town liability coverage cover the small tent?
That is a good question. I know that different organizations have been using Easy Ups for years. They're used for band concerts. They're used by, I don't want to point out the library, but the library uses them for book sales and for plant sales. And I know the Friends of the Seniors have used them for other things. So that is.
They use them on the common as well for a lot of the functions that they have on the common. So
Yeah, exactly. I know they're used often by maybe not always the municipality, but by nonprofits as well. So that is not my expertise. So.
That you would just be putting them up and taking them down
Yes,
daily?
I made sure to buy the ones that have ventilation at the top so they can't just blow over and fall over. And
that's
they
good.
come in rolling containers that are very easy to pack up.
So I think if it's just a matter of setting them up, I don't think that
We
that
wouldn't leave them.
an issue. You know, I mean, if you're putting them up for the day, just like Jazz says, they're used on the common, they're used everywhere. I mean, no matter where you go, any festival, anything, you pop them up, you take them down. I think the liability more is when we maybe stake them things to the ground and then it's supposed to be a permanent structure.
Yeah.
By all means, we could ask Adam, but I wouldn't see a liability factor. You know, you guys going to put them up, take them down, and a little bit of work. And, God bless you for taking on and doing that. That's awesome. But we should
There go the gym memberships, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think if they need them, the tent's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I think 1,300 versus 5,000 in the state that we are. Every penny we can save here and help is going to be helpful down the road.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that the programming continues over there, even through the expansion effort. I don't have a problem. I'm just wondering, I hate to be the insurance and the liability kind of issue thing, but I think we need to check on this. I don't see a problem. And now, is it your staff that's going to be putting them up, Karen?
Yes. So if there's coverage, we're covered, I would assume.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right. So I think we just need to check on that, but I'm okay with us using that as long as they're going to be put up and then taken down in the same time period and not left up.
I like the versatility of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can change where you put them, where you locate them. You're not set with one set place. Did you have something that you wanted to add?
I just had one question. Could they be paid for from COVID funds?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a very good question.
So I have two things. One is, will COVID funding cover? And the second is, I do just want to run the liability by Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my two things, but that is a good, the one thing I had was liability. The second thing is COVID funding. Perfect. We need to put a handle on that.
Yeah, that could definitely be peace of mind if they're going to be outside and it's going to be, I think we should be able to check on that rather quickly.
Right. Anything else? Okay, so is there a motion to go ahead with the small tents versus the large tent for the senior center, contingent on just making sure that it's not a liability issue? Otherwise, we have to go with the big one, I think. But and then we will also check into COVID funding, and we'll talk about that a little more when we get down to the finances piece of the meeting.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Kell, yes. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll let you know. We'll get back to you. Thank you.
Have a great one, guys.
Yeah, thanks for everything you do, Karen.
Thank you. All right, so discuss interim appointments for accountant and TA. And I am very quickly looking. I was hoping to have from council this morning. Let me see if I got anything recently. I don't. So let me go over the plan with you. I will add this to tomorrow's agenda in the hopes that I have something by then as far as contract goes. But right now we do have we're going to be going with a team approach is what I've worked out. And Chaz and Joe, this is the first time you're hearing about this. So, and I have been the one making the calls for who came in. I did have 3, so I do have a third person who called me this morning, but I had already talked to council, and hopefully we have this piece in place. So it's a team approach. We have one person who has fewer hours, but knows the VADAR system. We have another person available who has more hours to give, but does not know the VADAR system. The 2 people do know each other. They haven't necessarily worked together in the past, but they do know each other. The person with fewer hours will be the lead, the project lead, and will work in consultation with and in cooperation with the person with more hours. So the person who knows VADAR will be the one directing what happens. The other person will do more of the review of accounts and things like that. As far as signage goes, the lead will be the primary signatory. The second will be secondary signatory. So we will have an interim town accountant and an interim deputy town accountant is the way it works. They will both be paid at the same rate. And they have both agreed to the concept. And DOR has said as long as the 3 of us are good with the concept, they're good with it. So, council was writing up. I thought we were going to have write-ups on this today, but we don't yet. So we'll bring it back tomorrow. But I guess my thoughts are, that this is one way to do it, and it will. So we will have hours-wise.
I'd like to know the hours on that.
Okay, so hours-wise, I wrote it as 8 to 12 for the lead interim, and as 10 to 16 for the deputy interim. So we will have between 18, so that's, a little over 2 days, and 28 hours of coverage.
So the person that knows the VADAR system is the 10 to 16 hours?
No, it's the 8 to 12.
That's what I want to know. Okay.
That person had fewer hours available. The issue with the other person was the up to speed time for VADAR.
Yeah.
So this seemed like a likely conclusion. And they are both well qualified.
And these were referred to us by DOR?
Correct.
Okay.
And are those the only 2 that we have, Veronica? Did you say there was?
We have one other that came in late last week from Eric, whatever. I don't have it in front of me. Starts with a K, who had turned down the interim position, saying he didn't have staff. A name came in probably on Thursday or Friday of last week, and I did make the phone call. She called me back today. But I think it's imperative that we get someone in with the end of year work that needs to be done and the start of the new fiscal year. And the sooner the better. They are both available to begin at the end of the week.
Okay.
So I had hoped that we would have something that I could read today. I don't have that. I did let both of them know that it was tentative, and I don't see them on the Zoom call, but I did provide them with the information about today's meeting. The thought was that we would appoint tomorrow, and we would invite them to meet with us at our noon meeting on Wednesday, and they would start, depending on their time, either Thursday or Friday.
Okay, so to be clear, in our last meeting, we said that there were names of accountants or interested parties for the interim accountant position. And these are the two of the pool of names that we had received, and narrowed it down to be able to have the coverage that we need, and not, I mean, it's something that's within our budget as well, both of these individuals. And they are both going to be interims until we get a full-time accountant.
That is correct.
Okay. So I'm good with that, because this is all referred to from DOR.
Yeah, so let me, these are the two names that DOR gave me. The third name came in, but, you know, we started this on what? Wednesday, I got the names. I made my phone calls on Wednesday to these two, and it was, how are we going to work it? Let me find my sent. Hang on one second.
Mm-hmm.
I sent both of them email last night, and I will, I just wanted to let you know that these interim positions will be discussed at the noon BOS meeting tomorrow. Town council is preparing offers/contract letters that I hope I can share with my fellow board members at the meeting, and that we can vote to approve. If it passes, we will provide you with the letters tomorrow afternoon. The agenda and Zoom link, okay. The terms are as we discussed. One is the lead, the other is the deputy, working cooperatively and in consultation with each other, part-time and non-benefited.
So just quick question, Madam. So we'll be able to get approximately 28 hours out of these two? Just
Correct. Up to, yeah, up to that.
So the third name, what was the amount of hours that particular person was thinking?
That was just a name that was given to me.
Okay.
And I called her to find out what she was thinking.
Yeah.
And I had to move on. When she did not return my call, it was Thursday.
Okay.
So I got the call back this morning, and I will call her if, in fact, the other two do not accept.
I mean, I'm all right with, I mean, as Chaz said, that, you know, it's very gracious of the DOR to work with us and try to help us to navigate through the rough waters, as we should say right now. If we got two people that can come in and truly help us and do what we need, and you know, I've personally haven't spoke to them or anything. I give you all the credit, Veronica, for if you think this is the way to go. I mean, we need to get somebody in here. We really do.
I agree. I did have one other name, but it was a family member of a town employee, and so I'm not comfortable with that. So I opted not to make the call. I'm sure it's a very competent and wonderful person, but I just thought it would be best to keep it as just seemed pretty good. So
when we get the information from town council, then we'd be able to talk about the names of the individuals?
yeah, I don't want to put that out there until we have something that we can make a motion and appoint.
Okay.
I agree.
Veronica, could I just have you clarify something? When did you say your noon meeting was? Because we don't have anything on our calendar, and I don't recall receiving any.
Oh, that's right. I
agendas.
didn't get that agenda to you this morning. We have so many meetings, so it might be later in the day.
Okay,
So maybe we'll have a Wednesday evening meeting for the appointment if that works for Joe and Chaz. I don't know. But you're right. I have an agenda written up, and I was very busy this morning and have not yet sent that agenda, but it's ready to go to you, Kathy.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to
Thanks
clarify.
for the reminder. Yeah,
We do have your meeting all set for tomorrow evening at 6.
that is correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure.
Let me just look and see if I have any if I have revisions to that, I'll let you know. But I
Okay.
think anything, I think I got most of the things on there.
Okay, all right, great.
All right, thank you.
You're
Wednesday.
welcome.
Madam Chairman,
I think Wednesday evening, I think will be a little tougher for me, but if we can just post so it's, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock is by far better.
As soon as I can get it down to the selectmen, I have it written up. I just haven't. And it is pretty much that agenda.
Maybe someone from downstairs could come up and get it posted, and we can have it at 12:30 instead of 12. See what I'm saying?
I just need to know so I can take my lunch at that time, Joe.
That's why I think I don't know if Kathy would be willing to run upstairs, get it from you, get it posted, and we can say it's at 12:30.
I can email it to her. Hold on.
There you go.
It can't be 12:30 because we're after that.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
So what time
1 o'clock?
works, Kathy?
1 to 2.
Let me go to yesterday.
Will that work, Kathy? 1 to 2?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay.
Let me see I don't have a header on this. Let me just do this right now. And take a quick peek. BOS agenda 616. Sorry, everybody.
Is that going to be in person?
Take this little break. So what's on that is a discussion of temporary, part-time, interim TA. I wanted to appoint last night, so I do have to edit this to add. I thought we were going to do the appointment today. Unless you guys just want to do the appointment without the letter from council.
I don't.
No, okay. All right, I have to edit this.
Are we going to do Zoom or we have to be Zoom, Chaz, if you're working?
Well, I'd have to call in because Zoom ends as of today.
That is correct.
So I can be in town hall on Wednesday at 1. That's fine.
Why don't we say 2 o'clock to be safe? Can you do 2 o'clock, Joe?
I could, yeah, if we have to, yeah.
Madam Chair, that'll give you some time to get that done.
Okay, all right, so 2 p.m. All right, so we can go on with our meeting.
Is that
All
okay,
right,
Kathy?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as I get it before, 15 minutes before we can get it up there real quick.
It's 12:36. Yeah, I just have to add the appointment of the interim accountants. I expected to do that. I think I have that on tomorrow's agenda. So anyway.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could I ask the approximate cost of this team concept?
We can talk about that tomorrow. I'm running that by council. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I should say it will be comparable to the pay of the accountant that we had, including an FY22 increase, and it's fewer hours than the full-time accountant. So can pretty much do the math and get some idea on that.
Madam Chair, we have Chief Sartell on the line. Do we want to let him know what we talked about in regards to the constable appointments?
By a text.
I think we can just say that we're going to be doing 1-year appointments
Right.
for constables going forward. So until we find out more from the bill that's in committee
Right.
in the House of Representatives. So
Okay.
that's it. All right, moving on. Interim appointments, interim TA appointment. We have one resume that came in on Saturday. It is the first resume that we've had. So what I need to know but I do have several names. that I've gone through, and some of them, most of them are far away. So I haven't made cold calls. Bernie Lynch at Paradigm Consultants, I hope I have that right, and Mike Ward at the Collins Center have provided me with names. They have both circulated the little blurb that we put up on the website. And so we did get one resume in. I guess my question is, are we doing cold calls? Do we just go with the resume that we have? What are your thoughts, Chaz and Joe?
The list that you sent out, that of all the names, as you said.
When I put in SharePoint, yep.
Yeah, SharePoint. Google is your friend, as you said. And a couple of them, I would be very hesitant to even address them. But so I don't know if we want to jump on the very first person, but we do need to move forward for sure.
Chaz, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, these are from Zachary, right? Is that the one you're talking about? These are referred again by the DOR, and I would at least address the individuals to see if they're interested.
All right. So I will make the calls then this week, if both of you are okay with that.
And as long as, Madam Chair, whatever we decide, that before we bring anyone in, that we have other support of different people throughout our, either in town hall, fire, police, water, that have some say with us. Yep. I do not want to make this decision by just the three of us. I'd like to have some input.
100% agree with that.
That's going to slow down the amount of time to get someone in. Okay.
I just want to be able to have people to give feedback to us. If it could just be department heads, or, do a lottery, Chaz, or
process. So what I need to know is, and it doesn't have to be right now, we can discuss further on Friday, because I will make the cold calls, and I'm going to wrap back to that. But before I do that, the committee to review, they need, whoever you choose has to be ready to work quickly and immediately. Mm-hmm. So I don't want this to be a 1 month drag out process. Our charter does not require that we review for an interim. That said, I can see why we would want to. So what I need to know is, what is the makeup of the committee? And I don't want it to be so large that it's unwieldy. So I would want to keep it underneath, there's the three of us, and then the suggestions that we bring forward reviewed by the committee. But department heads, that's a lot of people.
I think we should have maybe three or four. Just, pick 3 or 4 that may have the most contact with this person. Mm-hmm. So that at least, if it's Kathy's office, the fire chief, the police chief, town accountant, I just think we want to make it somewhat simple, but we want it transparent.
How about if we had the department heads pick 3 individuals?
There you go. So all you department heads pick 3 amongst all of you and bring the name to us.
I'm good with that. So if, yeah, that'll be good.
Well, because they all can talk amongst themselves. We can't, so let them find, they all get on the phone.
How about this? How about if we have one representative from each union, one person representing non-union employees? So maybe that's the way to go, as opposed to, I don't want to start infighting. You didn't pick me, you picked me, you didn't pick me. I think we have how many unions? We have 4, right? 5 with the firefighters, correct? So we have clerical, supervisors, highway, water, police, and fire, correct? 5 unions?
Mm-hmm.
And 1 representative for non-union employees. And would that work?
I'm okay with that.
So there are 5 unions and 1 for non-union employees.
There'll be 9 of us total, correct?
So that would be, so the 3 of us, 3 plus 5, 8, 9, which is good because it's an odd number. So I'll send out something on that. Or Chaz or Joe, do you want to send out something? And do we need a motion?
I move that we appoint a member from each union and a non-union to assist with the interim TA selection.
So where we're gonna get the list, I second that.
Discussion. Joe.
So the list, what we just use, I see someone pop up, the union steward from each one of them. How about if we do that, make life easy?
Yeah,
Just
that would work.
whoever
So
they-
I will contact, I know who who was on the negotiation committee, you know, for the negotiations that we did in the 2 unions that I worked with. And I know, well, I'll send it out to the stewards or maybe to, I don't know. I could send it to Bobby.
Well, have sent each one of the union people itself, as far as the lawyer, and say, hey, we need 5 names from your department, each one, and just get them. Let him pick them.
Okay. That would work. I suppose that's okay to do. I'll have to find out.
So this is just for the interim, and our plans are to set a screening committee for a full TA, and that will include townspeople and anyone else who is interested. But this is only for the interim TA that we need to place as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Further discussion?
No.
Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chaz Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Cow, yes. All right. All right, so I will make the cold calls to everyone on that list. And anybody that Mike Ward sends along, as well as the 1 resume that we do have.
Okay.
So, and that one came from Bernie Lynch. All right. CDBG signatories discussion. All right, I did sign for us, for the town, the renewal last week, or the week before, well, no, last week, for the extension of the CDBG grant. And we did get the paperwork back. I put it in the SharePoint from DHCD. That said, we need an environmental officer. And Wayne Dara has volunteered to come forward as that. And there was 1 other signature needed. Let me pull this up. Oh, who is the person within the absence of a TA? Who signs off on the repairs that are being done for CDBG? And I have to do the preview thing. Hold on.
Can we just, can it just be one of us? We authorize just the one that comes in just to sign them?
Okay. Shall we, this is from Wayne Dara on Wednesday, 6/9. Hello, Chairman Cowell. Shall we assume you will now be signing the assistance agreement between the town and the homeowners participating in the housing rehabilitation program? The agreement was previously signed by Mr. Kreidler. The Board of Selectmen also needs to appoint an environmental certifying officer for the remainder of the FY18 grant. I would be happy to serve in that capacity if you wish, Wayne Dara, President of COG. So I had sent this out to housing as well to see what their thoughts are, because this is a housing grant. And previously, Dave Henkels was the environmental certifying officer for the town. So this was sent back to me. I'm attaching the document that Dave Henkels submitted as our environmental certifying officer in February of 2018. It's named Notice of Intent to Release Funds and does address the environmental review requirements of the program. I'm also attaching the vote taken by the then BOS certifying Dave Henkels as environmental certifying officer, and the form prepared by MRPC as our first CDBG partner. The TA is typically made the environmental certifying officer. I don't believe I ever saw that the grant manager of the grant would be made the environmental certifying officer. Is that a conflict? I would check to see if a Board of Select member can be appointed the environmental certifying officer.
I have a couple of things on this. Number one, I'm speaking as a selectman and not as a member of the Housing Authority. The reason why the Housing Authority didn't respond to that is because, number one, they haven't met to talk about the issue, but number two, they have never been engaged in conversations with us since 2018. So this really has nothing to do with the Housing Authority. That's number one. Number two is that would it not be smart of us to put a conservation commissioner as the environmental certifying agent? One of the commissioners, as opposed to, and I also feel that we have the Housing Trust that has done a lot of research in this, and I think they should be considered as well.
Okay, so the questions are, and I will contact Mr. Dara. The questions are, should a conservation commissioner be assigned?
Mm-hmm.
And what about the assistance agreement? I would rather see if it's going to be signed by the Board of Selectmen, I think it should be a quorum of the Board of Selectmen, or all three of us,
Okay.
for the assistance agreement until we have an interim TA in place. So I think for the assistance agreement, it should be all three of us for the homeowners agreement signatures.
For the housing rehab program?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Until an interim TA is in place. And then we can change it to that. I believe, and this came up before, what Adam had said is, because I had wanted to take Jim's name off since he was no longer here, and he said, no, not a problem. It's just his successor. Right. So I don't even know if we actually have to sign it, or we have to change anything, because it seems to me that we are the successors for now. Once an interim is in place, that would be the successor. And once we have a new TA, that would be the person.
Okay. So we just need to formalize the process internally then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I will check as far as the assistance agreement signatory goes, because I think it would be the three of us until we get an interim. Why change the name over and over?
Yep.
You know, so it's just a process thing. And then as far as the ECO goes, that's a different question. And I'll find out about that.
Okay.
I'll talk to Mr. Dara and also to town council.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I have my questions. All right, so this will get put on a discussion, let's say for Friday.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on that then? I don't think we need a motion since we didn't make any decision other than to get more information.
Right.
So now Friday, I'm going to have to call in on that meeting because I will not.
Chaz, are you able to be in person for that meeting
On Friday?
on Friday? That's a no. Okay, so, all right, so maybe we're not going to have a Friday meeting this week then. I mean, with meetings no longer Zoom, it makes this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Should we move to evening meetings or early morning meetings?
I think we should move to evening meetings.
Okay.
That's easier for me. I don't want to take any more vacation time.
Okay.
For me, I'm available Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. After that, unfortunately, I won't be in town.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So we won't have a Friday meeting this week. And so I will put the CDBG, I'll get the answers before Wednesday, and I'll put that on our agenda for Wednesday.
Are we not allowed to have any Zoom meetings? I mean, they're only a
Well, the
work.
way, open meeting law is now that we will be having open meetings. So they will be here in town hall. All of our meeting would need to be. And that starts tomorrow with our 15th meeting on the 15th. By open meeting, there needs to be a quorum present at the location, the public location of the meeting. We can have a person call in, and because we do allow remote participation. So a person, one of us, since we have a quorum of two, the third person can call in, but that person cannot be part of the quorum that is present at the meeting. I think I said that right.
Yep.
So, yeah, so we can only have one of us not here.
Correct.
And the sooner we get an interim in there, we won't have to have these Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
That is correct. So, but we have to set up a committee and we need to review resumes. I would say any resumes that I'm going to say Monday is the deadline for that, perhaps, for getting resumes into us. For consideration by the committee so that we can consider them next week and then, make a decision.
How are those resumes going to get forwarded to at least Chaz and I?
We'll figure that out.
Right?
I think if they're sent to selectmen, that's fine. We just can't discuss them
Yeah.
other than in an open meeting.
Okay.
So I would ask them to send them to selectmen at townsendma.gov, and that's that. So, I wanted to come back. The cold calls. My questions are going to be availability, meaning how much time do they have to devote? Sorry, I'm jumping back to the discussion of the interim appointments. Availability, what they're looking for as far as salary, budget, whatever, hourly pay, because this will be an hourly appointment. And then also to send us a resume. those are going to pretty much be my questions. And I will refer them to the charter for duties. Does that sound reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to ask them all the same thing.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'll prepare a little blurb that I can email out to them after I contact them to see, if there is interest. All right. Moving down under finances, the team of facilities. Rob went out and got quotes. After our meeting, I let them know that we would be going forward. We had voted for them to go forward. I guess this was done in executive session. And so I don't know if I should be discussing that. Anyway, the cost is $1,270. And when we looked at budgets, it was, we had okayed 1,000. But if you look at the budget, there is about 900, a little bit under 1,000 available, and there was a $300 grant. So are we good with that? Can I tell them to go forward?
Yeah.
This is, yes. Yeah, we already decided on that.
We
so
already
yes.
decided on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I will copy this quote and I will put it in the SharePoint so that you can see that. And I'll let Rob know. Go ahead with it.
Okay.
All right. That was that piece. Tax lien sale. I see that Jared is on. Get under.
Yes, he's on.
And he is the one that facilitated this. So I guess I just wanted to go over the bottom line numbers here, and I'm looking through those. Let me get down to the bottom. All right, so here they are. So, Jared, I'm going to read these numbers at the bottom, and then I'm going to ask you to comment if I say it incorrectly. So, or do you just want to do it?
Well, I'm not exactly prepared to do that. I can bring
good.
stuff up.
I was planning to, but I didn't want to, if you're on, and I thought if you wanted to do this, this would be good because you were the one that worked on this with your department.
I can if you just give me a couple minutes.
I've got it right here. Tax title payoff was $254,515.65. Tallage purchased $234,785.79. So let me see. There was an amount that were I can't read these words. Let me. Active no payment removed for various reasons was $445,941.90, and we have 70,000 that are payments are being made. So in general, this brought in 254 in revenue and 234,000 plus from tallage. Tax, where they purchased the I don't know the right words, Jared, if you can, the tax lien they purchased. So, and they will work on clearing that. So that's where we stand. So if you want to say anything else on Jared, please do.
Sure. The only thing that I would add is we don't have on the spreadsheet that you're looking at, we don't have the amounts that were paid via the payment plans. So I can send those figures over to you, but it's probably another 25,000+ of those who made some sort of partial payments, and now they're on payment agreements that hopefully will be paid off within a year or 18 months for a couple of them.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yep. Good job, Jared.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank
very
you.
much.
That was all I had to say on that. ARPA funding and application and COVID funding. I put in the SharePoint, I believe it was the article from the Mass Municipal Association. ARPA is the American Recovery Act.
American Rescue Plan Act.
Correct. Recovery was the other one. Anyway, this is awful. You know, it's the old, I already opened it and now it won't open for me.
So right click and then hit open and open in browser.
Yep, got it. All right, so on this, there was an article that was in the MMA, and I did put that up for you all to look at. The funds need to be, and let me see, I think it's applying for CLRF funding. Same thing, sorry, takes me a little while. All right, this is it. This is the memorandum that was up on the MMA website. Townsend is due to receive from this act $994,000, but it can only be used for specific purposes, one of which is water and sewer infrastructure. So it's something for us to look at. There's also a formula that the communities can look at for taxes that are reduced due to COVID, things that they weren't able to bring in because of the COVID restrictions. Businesses weren't open or property taxes weren't being covered. So there are certain things that we can apply for, but we do need to apply for the funding for this in order to get it. It does not automatically come to your community. So Jared is looking into it, and I'm sure once we have our accountants on board, they will do the same. But Jared's looking into it, and we'll get together what we need to apply for the funds. They come, I think it's over 2 years, and 50% of the funds are available to the community in the first year upon application. And then after that, the second 50% of the funds. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Can I ask a question if you know it?
You sure?
I know that we're working with water in regards to some issues that we're working on, which I think this would be able to fit right into very nicely. I also have two major issues. Number one is laptops, the availability of getting more laptops, number one, and number two is strengthening the IT for town hall, meaning digitizing current documents, that kind of stuff. Can we investigate if we can use those funding for that as well?
Yeah, I had at the staff meeting last week, I inquired who has laptops, who needs laptops, and serial numbers for them to compare them to were they purchased with COVID funds, or were they things that have been in town hall for a while, those sorts of things. So yes, I guess is my answer. Yes, okay. We will be investigating what laptops are needed, and I agree with the digitizing of records. We have a lot that needs to be done there. Yep. But again, I'll find out what I can, or the interim TA will find out what they can. This is not a priority. It's a priority, but not a priority. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be done by the end of the summer, but not tomorrow. So I'm kind of focusing on the today and tomorrow events right now. But yes, we are collecting that information, and when we have it, I have a folder, and when we have it together, we'll see what we can do. Okay. With the funds that we have available.
I'm good with
from
that.
The CARES Act money. This is not necessarily from the other. Okay, so here are the things that the American Rescue Plan can pay for. Supporting public health response.
Yes.
So funding COVID-19 mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, and certain public health and safety staff can be funded through that. Replace public sector revenue loss. That's one place where I think we can look for this. This is funds to provide government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue experienced due to the pandemic. And we do have some of that. It's not huge, but we do have it. Maybe 5% of the funds that we normally would have taken in did not come in. That's the number that's in my head from looking at the budget process. Water and sewer infrastructure, such as this is what you're talking about. Make necessary investments to improve access to clean drinking water and invest in wastewater and stormwater infrastructure.
Yep.
So that's definitely a place where the town can look. Address negative economic impacts. That's kind of what we've been doing with the COVID funds that we have had available to us with the housing and assistance, et cetera. So respond to economic harms to workers, families, small businesses, impacted industries, and the public sector. Then the fifth one is premium pay for essential workers. Offer additional support to those who have and will bear the greatest health risks because of their service in critical infrastructure sectors. So we can investigate that, especially around fire and police, I believe, EMS.
Yeah.
And then the last one is broadband infrastructure. Make necessary investments to provide unserved or underserved locations with new or expanded broadband access. So that's another place we can look, especially with, we have Comcast, I think, here in Town Hall. Can we improve our access here at Town Hall to make it easier for the employees in town and the employees from when they're working from home? So there might be things that we can do there for this funding.
And that's the IT infrastructure I'm talking about.
Exactly. So this it's all here. If you look at the document on MMA, I think what I just clicked on was the quick reference guide. There's a link on, I think it's page 3. It's the bottom link that gives you the quick lowdown on what these funds can be used for. Okay, it's 1:11. I kind of have to move along here. The employee action form, this is something that the Treasurer's Office and payroll brought forward. So they wanted our thoughts on it. So I put it in SharePoint, hoping that you all would get a chance to look at it. Has everybody had a chance to, it's kind of a change of status form, but in a sort of different, it's in a, just a little different from what it has been. And Jared, do you want to talk about this at all?
Sure. Yeah. It really just adds a lot more detail. One of the best things I think on that form is, first of all, it's a PDF fillable form, and then it has grades and steps on there. It really should help keep us organized, especially where everybody's going to be falling onto the new Collins scale, onto a specific grade and step. So this should, like I said, really help keep us organized, and there's just a lot more information. So we can go back in their file, look at these change of status forms, and we should have a really good idea of what's going on. Whereas of now, some of the forms that come in, it's hard to determine exactly what change is happening.
And do we want to vote on it? Because I'm good with it.
I think we should. I think especially with Collins being implemented, it has the information then right there for the Treasurer's Office to look at. So especially when there's a change, it will just make, I think it will make things easier. So
It's simplified. Very, yeah.
it provides more information than what's there.
I agree.
So,
I
yeah.
move that we approve the employee action form to be utilized in the treasurer's office.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chess Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Cal, yes. All right, thank you,
Thank you very much.
Jared and Anthony and Rebecca for,
Good job.
thank you. All right, the other one was the water department employees. I put this in there just so that it's discussed. There was a question about the fact that these are summer interns that have been hired at the water department, and they are working 24 hours a week. So the question came up, and I was CC'd on this. How does this work when we benefit our employees? So Jared did a lot of looking at things, and Dave did a lot of looking at things. And I think between those two departments, they've determined that because these are temporary positions and the typically 19 hours is non-benefited, 20 or above is benefited. But because of that, and looking at all of the, rules and regulations and town policies, it was determined that these appointments can go forward, that they are temporary. They could not go beyond 90 days, though. So,
Right, and that's what my comments would be, that there is not only an hourly, but there is a consecutive months to these. And that kind of allows, because I know that in my business, we allow interns as well, and they may be viewed in that short period of time as having enough hours to be benefited. However, they're not consecutively doing it for months. And I think these positions fit into that, because I did the math, Ms. Cal.
good, glad to hear it. So I think we're on okay. I think one intern has been hired, and I think the other one might be in process.
Yep.
So
24 hours, correct?
yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
All right. So I have to look on the table, but I do believe there are forms out there to be signed. And so if you see them there, go ahead and add a signature to it. So the 2 out of the 3 of us have signed off.
Well, but we'll be in tomorrow, so.
Yes. So they're out there. Yeah, it's no need to do it today.
So signatures, Madam Chair, I was up there today and I signed, and what is exactly the protocol? So I know yourself and myself have signed several that the highway department, but they've been sitting on that desk for a week. Where do they go from there? Who picks them up? Or what do they do with them?
Well, we're learning that, I suppose.
Supposed to bring them somewhere? Once, 2 signatures, 3 signatures? What do we do with them?
I don't know. I am finding that out. There are more that came in from highway last week.
Yeah.
So what I've done is take what's there, add it up, look at the budget, make sure it fits within, and then put it out there for signatures. And I've crossed out town administrator and put BOS, and I've not yet investigated where it goes beyond there. So I was hoping that when we get an accountant in, they would know.
Okay.
So I assume it gets filed, the department head gets notified to do whatever they've put in for, and that the bill gets paid when it comes in. So I don't know, Joe. It's a good question.
Well, they've been sitting there for over a week, so I just figured maybe we had to do something with them.
The first set of highway, I think, is signed.
Yeah, but they're sitting there, so that's my question. Does Jimmy just come pick them up? And then, I mean, we voted 2 out of 3 signatures, but I mean, we can sign them, but if nobody moves them off of the desk.
Okay. You want to investigate that, Joe?
On that, find out what we do with them. Once we have signatures, I think they need to move forward, so I will. Oh, it says usually
Okay,
fire
what?
department. Hang on, I just read what someone just said. We just had a comment. Usually returned via interdepartment mail. So I would say that once they're signed, we put them in their
The
mailbox.
mailbox. Okay, well, I'm here, so I can do that. All right,
That's what we'll do. If we see the signatures 2 out of 3, and we'll just grab them, put them in the mailboxes downstairs.
okay, sounds good.
See, we solved that problem.
Yeah, I was thinking that, some magic would happen. I guess that's the magic. All right, signed and returned interdepartment.
Hey, Steve.
Thank you. All right, so the other question was the library rollover of 1 week vacation from FY21 to FY22. These are non-union employees who work at the library, and the library's been very busy this past year, and people haven't taken their vacation. And so the request came in from Stacy. I think I put it in SharePoint, but I might have done it like last night.
Yes,
So,
I see.
I don't know if you all had seen it.
I did see it.
Okay.
I reviewed it.
So I guess the question becomes, should we have a vote on that? And can we do that in public session?
I don't know.
I would defer to town council about that.
All right, so I will check with town council and add it to either tomorrow or Wednesday's meeting. All right, postings. I went through and edited the postings that we had, and I believe I put them in the work session folder here. So we had the conservation agent and assistant, and we were going to post those with the MACC on the back bulletin board on the town website. And do we want to post on MMA?
Yes.
I think it could, absolutely.
Okay. So were you guys able to review those?
Yes.
I
And
did.
I'm good with all of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Posting, I think it'll be fine.
They were updated with the FY22 hours, and the applications come to Selectmen at selectmenma.gov. And then we can distribute them, or whoever is in place can distribute them when they do come in. Highway Department Assistant posting, that one has been up for a while. I was going to post that on the MMA, make sure it's up on the back bulletin board. I did look, and I'm pretty sure it is. And on our website. Anywhere else? I don't know if there is a highway department kind of professional organization that we could post on, or is it good enough?
Well, when we get to liaison, I'll ask the question. We can bring this back up there.
Okay, all right. So highway assistant, the accountant, this is for the general, regular, non-interim.
Interim. This is for the full-time position.
Correct.
This is for the full-time position, that's correct. So I just wanted to make sure everybody looked at that one. Because that one will go on the MMA website as well.
Correct.
And I don't know that I put a time period on this. I didn't. So I thought we would post, should we post that now or 1st of July, seeing as how we're just appointing interims?
That I would wait until July, because that would be in July's budget.
Budget, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to post in July. Actually, all of these are, I didn't necessarily put start dates. I just assumed by the time, we're so late in June now that by the time we're mid-June, by the time we got anything back and we're able to review it would be a start date in July anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the accountant, I'll hold up on posting until July. All right. Conservation letter. I put two things in here. Hold on. I had inquired with the MACC about responsibilities. So let me open that.
MACC is the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions.
That is correct. So without reading all of this, finally, if the commission is dissolved or cannot complete their tasks, the select board will have to function as the commission and implement the requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act. My question was, do you have to provide staff? And if you don't have staff, and the commission chooses not to work, which is what we got notice of last week, then what are our options going forward? We, the Board of Selectmen, are responsible for the Wetlands Protection Act and our town bylaw. We are the appointing authority for the Conservation Commission. So if we have a chair who chooses not to hold meetings, then it is up to us to take action. So with that, I am, let me see if I have one more here that I can bring up. Sorry, I can't open and preview. So I consulted with counsel to see how what one does to suspend or remove so according to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C, any member of a commission so appointed may, after a public hearing, if requested, be removed for cause by the appointing authority. The town charter similarly provides any appointed officer, member of a multiple member board, or employee of the town may be suspended or removed from office without compensation by the appointing authority for good cause. The term cause shall include but not be limited to the following: incapacity other than temporary illness, inefficiency, insubordination, and conduct unbecoming the office. The charter also requires the process as follows. The appointing authority, when removing any such officer, member of a multiple member board, or employee of the town, shall act in accordance with the following procedure. A written notice of the intent to remove and a statement of the cause or causes therefore shall be delivered in hand or by registered mail or certified mail. Return receipt requested to the last known address of the person sought to be removed. Within 5 days following delivery of such notice, the officer, member of a multiple member body, or employee of the town may request a public hearing at which such person may be represented by counsel, shall be entitled to present evidence, call witnesses, and to question any witness appearing at the hearing. Between 1 and 10 days after the public hearing is adjourned, or if the officer, member of a multiple member body, or employee of the town fails to request a public hearing between 6 and 15 days after delivery of the notice of intent to remove, the appointing authority shall take final action, either removing the officer, member of a multiple member body, or employee of the town, or notifying such person that the notice is rescinded. Failure of the appointing authority to take any action within the time periods as stated in this section shall be deemed to be a rescission of the original notice, and the officer, member of a multiple member body, or employee shall forthwith be reinstated. Whereas the statute requires a public hearing, the charter only requires it if the individual requests it. The statute predates the charter, so I'd say that the charter controls. And that is from Adam. And that's in the entirety. So I am looking for a motion to send a letter to remove from the Conservation Commission the chair.
I move that the Board of Selectmen send a letter of removal to the Conservation Commission chair per Mass General Law, Chapter 40, subsection 8C and 7-8 of the Town Charter.
Second.
Any further discussion?
This, according to what I'm seeing, I don't want to, I want to make sure that we move forward. I don't want any more, negative. We need the Conservation Commission. And in this respect, we do have, I just want to be able to move forward and get the town's business done.
I agree totally.
Are we allowed to speak?
We are not taking input from anyone but the board at this point. Thanks, Joe.
Madam Chair, I just think, I don't know if anybody else, I know I seen an email requesting a joint meeting with the board and the conservation. I responded personally back to one person. After the way the meeting went the other night, I was not impressed. And there would be better ways to handle any kind of controversy. When you put the Board of Selectmen or any department up their back against the wall, nothing ever good's going to come out of it. There could have been better ways that letter was sent to us. If there was truly concern by the Conservation Commission, they should have had a joint meeting. They should have discussed it amongst themselves. It sounds like to me the decision was made by one person. If they can't do their job, they could have said they were unable to do the job. Don't just say you're not doing your job, because that's just not a good outcome for anybody. That's my take on what happened.
So we did receive that. I will just say that if the Conservation Commission is not meeting to conduct business, then I'm not so sure that a joint meeting would behoove. So I guess I agree with Joe and Chaz. We need a Conservation Commission. If in fact we, the Board of Selectmen, have to act as the Board of the Conservation Commission, we will, but we have an appointed Conservation Commission for a reason. And there are applications in the building department that need addressed. I have been receiving emails from engineers who are trying to schedule meetings and haven't been able to.
And I've been receiving emails from townspeople that they need to talk with somebody in conservation and they're not able to.
And so if that's the case, I support sending a letter so that the work of the Conservation Commission can go forward. So,
can we, Madam Chair, just so something can move forward, can we appoint somebody that's on there to step up, say, just, we've got to have conservation work done. I've got 2 or 3 emails of citizens and residents that have been trying to reach out, and I just don't think it's good. We need the conservation. And as far as I'm concerned, conservation is a big, big, big thing that we need to protect in our community. We need to make sure builders, everybody, are abiding by all our rules. If we open that door up, that everyone can have a free-for-all, or we as a community we don't do the work that needs to be done by the conservation, and people just get permits, and then we get into a shit show later. I don't think that's the way to go. That's just not the way to go. Everybody on that board took an oath to do their job, and I feel for everybody on that board. And I understand, yeah, you may not have the amount of help that you need. We as a board of selectmen don't have all the help we need in the town, but we got to just carry on. We got to work harder, and trust me, we're doing as much as we possibly can. And you know, I have a lot of respect for the conservation and the people on it. Just work as a team, get it done.
I'd really like to make a comment to that, Joe. I really would.
We are not taking comments. I'm sorry, but we are not. There is a quorum of the conservation present, and we cannot have a deliberation with the Conservation Commission. So with that, I'm going to close off discussion, and all those in favor.
Joe Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Kell, yes. Thank you very much. Reports from board liaisons.
It has come to my attention that we inadvertently left the highway department off of the liaison list. And I volunteer, not the highway, the building department. I'm sorry.
Oh, building department.
Yes.
Does highway have one?
Yes, that's myself. And I'll offer that I'll take, since I had to take 2 off of my list, that I'll take building, because I would like to talk to building. There's some IT issues I want to work out with them.
That's fine. I mean, that's fine.
So is there a motion to add building department to your elected officials, right? You're in the elected officials section?
Correct.
Elected and no, not appointed, elected. I'm general government, you're elected.
And I'm public safety.
And you're public safety. All right, so to add the building department to the liaison list under elected officials.
Joe, I'll let you do that.
I make a motion. We put the building department under the elected officials as for the liaison.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Kell, yes. All right, moving on to announcements and communications. First thing is the town insurance. The agent came by, our insurance agent, looking for signatures on the renewal of the policies. The carrier of some of the insurance has changed. I, as a selectman, I can't just sign insurance policy, for the town for insurance. But we as a board could. I discussed it with council, and it was recommended that we get copies of those to send to them for review. And so today I got the copies. So I am going to get those sent over just for quick review before we move to sign. So these probably do need to be signed by the end of the month so that they're in place for the next fiscal year.
Okay.
So
have we discussed anything? I know, Mr. Heyman been doing the insurance for a long time. Have we even quoted any of this? I mean, it's just, I know in my corporation, every single year I need to go out and quote my insurance. And if I don't, it just seems it escalates. And every time I seem to have questions, they go out, they talk about it, the price comes back better. I mean, I'm not one to just waste the town's money here.
Okay, well, Chaz, I have an answer for you, but let me hear what Chaz has to say.
Is this the handwritten thing that was in SharePoint that we received?
Yes, I put it in last night. It was a comparison between what we had paid in 2021 and what we are paying in 2022. And just for background, because I don't think either of you were involved with this part of the budgeting process, I know that we discussed this as part of the budgeting process, and Jim went out for quotes, I believe. So I know that this was the decision. I know if you look in the budget book, there is a certain dollar amount. The bottom line figure on that handwritten sheet with all the numbers is a little bit higher, but I have to look at the policies because I think there are different sections where insurance is covered in the budget book. And so when you put them all together, like I think workman's comp is a different budget line item. So if you put them all together, it's about what was budgeted for this year. That process has kind of gone by, Joe, for the fiscal year upcoming, I think. I mean, that was already done in the process of doing the budget. And so we would be looking for next year going forward to go out for quotes.
Was the finance department part of that budget discussion?
Well, they reviewed the budget. I wasn't at every finance committee meeting. I went to some, but mostly Jim went to them. I went to the ones that were joint with us in March, but not prior to that. And I think these quotes came in prior to that.
Madam Chair, and some of the reason I'm kind of asking this from a few years back, and I just, and the reason I want to say this is I think we as a board need to look at what this coverage is, because I was involved as, repairing a particular piece of equipment that, we could have lost a tanker because of the way the policy was written as far as, replacement cost and different things. I don't feel we are adequately insuring some of the equipment that we have in town. Some of the equipment is old. Yes, don't get me wrong, but if we'll just take the tanker, pure example, when they roll that tanker over. Well, it was so many years old, so I'm just going to use a number. So it's $20,000 to repair the tanker. Well, they say, well, that tanker is only worth $18,000, so it's total. So we're going to take that from you. So I kind of got involved in that, and we worked very hard to save that for the town. But you go to replace that tanker, and it's $100,000. So we need, as a board, I think we need to have that conversation with our insurance people to make sure if they were to wreck that ladder truck and we lose that ladder truck, what are we covered for and what are we not covered for? We are not going to do ourselves any justice if we do have a major problem. That's kind of my concerns I have.
Well, I have the policies, and I can make a copy, and we can review, but I was going to send them to council for review because that was what was requested of me. And this is certainly something that we should be aware of. I think typically the town administrator is aware of that, and is who that discussion would go with.
And I agree with you, Joe, 100% in regards to, things definitely need to go on, to be looked at in itemized and really kind of gone over with a fine tooth comb. However, and I hate using that word, I think we're past that process at this point. That has already gone through, and the policies are already here, and they need to be reviewed by town council and signed. That's my...
It now. I'm just saying something we should look at.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, and we can set it up for. And I'd also like the other financial committees on there too to have eyes on it as well.
Right. I don't know that anybody looked at the policies as such, and I don't know who reviewed the terms, but I would assume it was Jim.
Yeah, and we're at the point where we're kind of past the looking at it and trying to negotiate. I think these are the policies. This is what it is, and we just need to have legal look at it, make sure that it's got all the legalese that's supposed to have in it, and then we can sign it. I think we're at that point.
Right, and I think so that is, I think, exactly where we are with this. So yeah, the figures are there comparing back and forth. So
I did see that.
So we'll just have to, I guess what I want is a motion that we can sign these contingent on review by council.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to sign the insurance paperwork contingent upon review from town council.
Out of session.
Out of session.
All those in favor?
George Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Kell, yes. Okay.
And this is still communications?
Yes.
I just wanted to inform both of you that I have a meeting at Town Hall at 9:00 on Thursday with Brad from Guardian. And we're going to be looking at some of the equipment there. There's been some concerns in regards to some of the servers overheating in Town Hall. So we want to take a look to see why that's happening. And there are other things that we are looking at that I'll be prepared to bring in front of the board once we get a more better idea of what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I thought I had posted other things for communications, but perhaps not.
Oh, I do have one other thing too. I forgot.
For these AC?
Go ahead, Chaz.
All of those, all of the agendas are caught up for 2020 and 2021.
As far as posting on the website goes?
Yep.
What do you
They're all
got?
done.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Didn't we just get this?
Could we mute, please, if you're not if you're not,
Right. So
please mute.
that's what we mentioned. I've never been
All right, Dave, could you mute, please?
a footer, but
Dave,
We're listening to the water department chatter. Thank you. All right, that's all I have for communications. Our next meeting is tomorrow, a regular meeting. I will post for June 16th as soon as we get off here, so it will probably be 2:30.
That's okay.
Is that okay? All
Yeah.
right. And June 18th right now will not be happening. All right. Any?
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Go ahead, Andrea.
Are you going to film your Monday, Wednesday, Friday meetings as they go on after the virtual contact is gone? Because I can't make it. I enjoy being kept up to date by your meetings, but I can't wander down there every day.
Right. So this will be, we'll discuss this some tomorrow. I see Dave TCAM on there, but I was in here Friday afternoon and they tested out this really cool thing called an owl that kind of spins and it has cameras on it circularly and it is attracted by talk, and it might be a way to do a Zoom at the same time we do a Channel 9. I don't know all the details, but we have on our agenda TCAM tomorrow night, and I was going to add that piece of equipment because then we would be able to still be able to put it out on Zoom, but I don't know. You know, we the board have to be physically present.
Yes.
And you can't really participate easily. Not that we have a whole ton of participation. But you can't, if it's on Comcast, there's no way to
Interaction.
participate actively, correct?
Yeah.
So this OWL is a kind of cool thing. I just happened to be here when they were doing a little test on that, which is why Hartley was having problems with our meeting at the beginning, because they changed sound things as they were working to get that to work and to see how it works. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But,
this is why I'm also working with Guardian, because that would be, I agree with you, Andrea. I think the more interactive some of the, our future meetings are, the better for everyone. I would much rather have people get their information from these meetings rather than, seeing postings and stuff.
So Zoom has been a kind of good thing about COVID in a weird sort of way, good and bad, but it's something that I'll add to the agenda, and TCAM can provide more information. I'm not the person to talk on that. But the rules don't apply to that, but they do apply to us. And then there's the how do we make the technology work where they're filming at the same time as Zoom is going on. So it gets a little hairy with what we have available in Town Hall. So
Thank you.
we'll try. We'll see what we can do. Okay, so is there a motion to adjourn?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning at 1:50 p.m.?
Joe Shank, yes.
Chad Sexton Duranian, yes.
Veronica Kell, yes. Thank you very much.